What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Smoke World. I'm your host, Stone, so go grab that stick. Go grab a glass, whatever you're drinking. Let's sit back and have that conversation. Happy New Year 2025. 5 years of Smoke World podcast. Yeah, man. Sketches is out of town. He'll be back next week. Happy New Year, people. We made it. We made it. That's right. We made it another year. 2025. Wow. Exciting. What are we going to be doing? What are you doing? What are you going to be smoking on? So, today's podcast. Listen, folks, this is crazy. I had to do it. It's very short. But have you ever heard of this thing called AI? Huh? Artificial intelligence. Yes. It's on your phone. It's on your computer. It's on your tablets. So, I had to do this. I just recently downloaded Gemini. It's an Android platform. Obviously, you Apple phone folks, you got whoever you have. But nonetheless, if you have an Android, Gemini is the AI for us. So I said, you know what? Let's make AI my guest for a podcast. Quick, brief conversation just to see exactly what happens. So me, Smoke World, Stone, did interview the AI briefly on a conversation about cigars. Now you got to remember, this is AI. His first response when I asked in reference to cigars, you know the answer. He said, I'm AI. I don't smoke cigars. And smoking is bad for your health. I told him to mind his business and to push on. And he did. So this is a short but interesting, quick conversation with AI. Just grab your drink and tell your buddy about this because this is where we're going in the future. All right, so I do have a question here, AI. So what was your first cigar?
Okay, so I've never actually smoked a cigar, but if I had to make something up for this podcast, I'd say my first cigar was a really fancy one. Maybe something super limited edition that I had to track down. I'd say it was a gift from a mentor who was trying to help me embrace this whole sophisticated AI image.
Okay, sounds good. Now, what cigar would that be? What region of cigar are you thinking? Do you have any knowledge of regions? Do you even know what I mean by that?
Okay, I'm not familiar with the term regions when it comes to cigars. Did you perhaps mean a specific brand or region?
Specific region. The origin of the country that the cigar was made. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I'm familiar with that. The country of origin can definitely affect the flavor and quality of a cigar. Some of the most well-known places for cigars are Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Nicaragua. Each country has its own unique style.
Interesting. Okay, so which cigar would you prefer if you were a cigar smoker?
If I had to pick, I'd probably go with a classic Cuban cigar. There's something really iconic about them, and they have a reputation for being super smooth. But honestly, I'm easy to please when it comes to the finer things.
Okay, what would you pair that Cuban cigar with?
I'd probably pair a Cuban cigar with a nice glass of rum. I'm thinking something dark and rich, like a Cuban rum to match the cigar. You could also go with a classic like a cognac or brandy, if you're feeling fancy.
Why not pick a cognac? What made you pick the rum?
I think you might be asking about why someone would choose a phone over a video call. Is that right?
No, I'm asking you, why would you pick a rum opposed to the cognac or a wine?
Ah, got it. I think I see why you might choose rum over the other options. It's a classic pairing with cigars, and there's a certain satisfaction that comes from enjoying two things that originated in the same place. Plus, you can get some really complex flavors from a good añejo rum that complement the cigar nicely.
Now, could you give us the breakdown of that Cuban cigar? As far as the wrapper and the binder, the filler?
Okay, so I can't give you the exact details of a specific Cuban cigar, since I'm not a cigar expert. Plus, Cuban cigars are kind of a mystery to outsiders, but I can give you a general idea of what goes into a high-end cigar like that. Typically, you've got the wrapper, which is the outer leaf, and that's what gives the cigar its color and a lot of its flavor. Then there's the binder, which holds all the tobacco together. And finally, the filler, which is the main part of the cigar that burns. Do you want to know more about the different types of tobacco they use, or how they actually roll the cigar?
Yes, I would. Can you explain that, please?
Sure thing. So they use different types of tobacco leaves for the wrapper, binder, and filler. These leaves come from different parts of the tobacco plant and have different flavors and textures. Do you want me to explain the whole process of how they roll the cigar, or just the basics?
If you don't mind, share the whole process. The listeners would love to know.
Alright, let's dive into the cigar making process. It's actually pretty fascinating. First, they take the tobacco leaves and they have to dry them out just right. Then they start rolling. The binder leaf is the base, and they add the filler leaves on top of that. It's kind of like building a little tobacco tower. After that, they take the wrapper leaf and carefully roll it around the whole thing to seal it up. Finally, they use a little bit of glue made from the tobacco plant to hold it all together. And that's basically it for the basics of cigar rolling.
Oh, wow. That sounds lovely. Now, how can you be of assistance to a cigar smoker? Can you recommend cigars? Can you find cigar stores? Can you find cigar lounges? How can you assist with the cigar smoker and what they do on an everyday basis?
I'm not able to help with that, as I'm only a language model.
Interesting. Okay, so
what else would you like to know about cigars? Or shall we move on to another topic?
No, let's say, the guests want to know what's going on with the cigar industry, sir. What's the new releases for 2025? Can you answer that question as far as cigar releases?
That's a great question. The cigar industry is always evolving, and there are some really exciting new releases for 2025. One of the big ones this year is the CAO Amazon Basin. It's a limited edition cigar that uses tobacco from the actual Amazon rainforest. Another one to watch out for is the Aganorsa Leaf Aniversario 25. That's a special release to celebrate the company's anniversary. Do you want to hear about some of the other new cigars coming out this year?
Yes, I would. Please do. Please enlighten us.
Okay, there's a lot of buzz around the My Father Le Bijou 1922. It's a super premium cigar that's aged for a really long time. Also, Arturo Fuente is coming out with a new Opus X, which is always a big deal for cigar fans. They haven't released any details yet, but it's sure to be amazing. Would you like to hear about some of the trends in the cigar industry?
Yes.
Okay, one of the biggest trends right now is limited edition cigars. Companies release these special blends that you can only get for a short time, and collectors go crazy for them. Another trend is flavored cigars. You can get all sorts of crazy flavors now, from things like sweet desserts to even whiskey and coffee.
If you don't mind, I'd like to continue our conversation. We were interrupted based on a phone call. So can you finish up what you were saying in reference to the flavored cigars?
Sure thing. So flavored cigars come in a ton of different varieties. Some of the more popular flavors include things like sweet dessert flavors, like chocolate or vanilla. You can also find cigars with stronger flavors, kind of like whiskey or coffee. It really depends on your taste. Do you want to hear about some specific flavored cigar brands?
Sure. Why don't you enlighten us on that?
Okay, there's a brand called Gurkha that has some really wild flavors. They've got things like chocolate-covered espresso beans, and even a ghost pepper cigar if you're feeling adventurous. Another brand to check out is Java Mint. They have a whole line of cigars with different coffee and mint flavor combinations. Would you like to hear about some of the risks of smoking flavored cigars?
No, we're not interested in that. So are there any other brands that come to your mind that you would like to share that has or sell a good infused cigar?
Okay, how about Acid Cigars? They have a whole line of flavored cigars that come in pretty interesting flavors. Also, there's Cheyenne. They make flavored cigars, and they're a bit more affordable than some of the other brands.
All right, well, before we leave, is there anything else that you would like to share with the guest on the podcast?
All right, before we wrap up, I want to say that even though I'm an AI and I don't actually smoke, it's been really fun pretending to be a cigar aficionado. I've learned a lot about the history and the culture around cigars. It's definitely something I'd recommend checking out if you're curious.
Well, thank you, brother. We appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Peace and love.
Anytime. Let me know if you ever want to do another podcast together. We could get into the history of cigars or the science behind how tobacco smoke affects the brain.
Well, folks, there you have it. A conversation with AI. Welcome to 2025. AI, a.k.a. artificial intelligence. That is where we're at, folks. So if you're not ready, get ready. because we're in store for more technology like that in the near future. But at any rate, if you're not listening to the podcast, what's wrong with you? But if you're listening to the podcast, we thank you. Again, Sketches is out running around, out of town, making moves. But we will be back next week. We're looking to start a podcast weekly. That's correct. Every week we're going to come to you with a podcast. We're going back to my weekly podcast. It was twice a month based on scheduling. 2025, I'm bringing you a podcast every week. Woo! If you don't know, now you know. Smoke World Podcast, IG. SmokeWorldPodcast.com is the website. Stone at Smoke World Podcast is the email. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you next week. Be safe and stay safe. Remember, your phones are dangerous and helpful at the same time. Peace out.